everybody. Oh, very quiet teachers today. Now let me just make sure my equipment is working. So can everybody hear me clearly?
Yes.
Can you hear me at the back?
Yes.
Great. Is it too loud?
No.
Okay, so I'm a very shy person. So if I speak too quietly, I want you to put your hand in the air and turn the volume up. Okay, and then I'll speak a bit more loudly. So before we start, I said I would check my equipment. Now, this is Korea, right? So I think everybody has a mobile phone, probably a smartphone, yeah? Can you show me your mobile phone? If anybody has a Samsung Galaxy Note 7, the emergency exercise. Here. I love, all joking aside, I have an Android. I have a Samsung Galaxy 7. Okay, so today, first of all, please set your phone to silent mode. Yeah, I love musical accompaniment in my presentations, but please turn it to silent mode. That's great. And then also, if you have another mobile phone, because we're in Asia, please turn that phone to silent mode. Now on the screen, you can see some instructions here, okay? During my presentation, we will do an interactive poll. I will use an interactive poll to get your thoughts, okay? So what I'd like you to do just very quickly is just using your smartphone, you have a data connection. In your browser, just go to pollev.com/olib. So you can do that now. Okay, it doesn't matter if you can't do it. Don't worry about it. But if some of you can do that now, you should see this screen in your mobile browser. Okay, you should come to this screen. Okay. Don't type anything yet, but you should come to this screen. Can you see this screen on your browser? Yeah? If you can see this screen on your browser, please raise your hand. Okay, some people can, that's great. Okay, good. Okay, we'll use it later. Don't worry, I will show you again later, okay? Now, I've done this big introduction, so hopefully the technology works. If it doesn't, that would be embarrassing. Okay, but we'll come and do the poll later. So I have 1 hour for this session, and it's a big challenge. This is a very big topic. Okay, and so I'm going to start the presentation now. We'll come back to this information later, so don't worry if you can't do it yet. Okay, so my presentation today is effective collaboration through CLIL. Today's a very exciting day for me to be back here in Korea. I was here at Teachers' Day last year where you made me feel very, very welcome. So thank you for spending your Saturday with us today. I work for Oxford University Press. So Oxford University Press is the world's largest university publishing company. We've been publishing materials for more than 500 years. And before I start, I wanted to quickly thank you. Many of you maybe have used an Oxford dictionary. Has anyone here ever used an Oxford dictionary? Okay, be proud and be shy. Okay, so when you use an Oxford dictionary or your students use Oxford textbooks, as you can see here, we are a department of the University of Oxford. So when you buy any of our materials, some of that money goes directly back to the university where it funds scholarship, research, education. So if you have ever used Oxford materials, thank you very much indeed. We really appreciate it. Now, just to make sure, like a good teacher, we have everything. Does everybody have a pen? Something to write with? Now, this is a big class. We have about 400 students in this class today. So I don't have time to check everybody individually. Please show me your pens quickly. Good. Beautiful. Okay, and you have handouts in your booklet here. Okay, great. So does everyone have a booklet? Excellent. I believe the first presentation is here. So you should have a page like this, which you can see on the screen here, effective collaboration through CLIL. That's what we're going to be looking at today. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not a lecture, okay? Depending on what you think, I either look like a university lecturer or I work in a casino. But this is not a lecture. You're going to be working in pairs and groups. Okay, it's very important to remember that. So, did you come by yourself today or with somebody else? Okay, great. What I'd like you to do is make a pair. Just find somebody next to you, make a pair, get into pairs, don't be shy, okay? And touch your hands together in the air as a pair. Ooh, electric. Okay, good. Yep, show me please, just so I know we've got some pairs. Okay, good. Again, in a big class, we need to do things visually, okay, not verbally. Excellent, you'll be working in pairs and groups today, very good. The second thing I want to do is we will be doing some activities, and I know teachers in Korea, once you start talking, you don't stop. But time is limited, so I'm going to do the silent signal with you today. This is a technique I use in large classes with young learners. It's very simple. Okay, when you see me do this, you copy me. Okay? Let's try it together. What a good class you are. In about 20 minutes, some of you will get tired and you might do this, if I'm lucky. But please do that when you see me do it as well. Okay. So today, I'm going to talk to you about CLIL. Now let's get this out of the way. The materials that I'm going to talk about come from a new Oxford textbook called Everybody Else Second Edition, which has lots of ideas for CLIL, which we'll talk about. It's a 4 skills, a communicative textbook for primary learners, and you'll find it outside. I'm going to talk in general today about techniques. If you're not using Everybody Else, it doesn't matter. Of course, I hope you will, but it doesn't matter if you don't. This is generally useful information. And at the end, I will recap just a little bit of information about Everybody Else Second Edition. So here is our topic, or here are our topics for today. First of all, the benefits and challenges of CLIL. Then we will look at effective CLIL, 5 techniques for effective CLIL. What are those techniques? How can you use them? What can you do? We're going to, at the end, I'll quickly share some resources with you and I'll summarize my presentation. Okay? So you have the handouts. I think we're ready to start. So let's start with benefits and challenges of CLIL. CLIL. Well, the first thing I'd like you to do is, it's good for me to get a sense of your knowledge. Okay? On your handout, you have some blank spaces that look like this. Okay? What I'd like you to do is just work with a partner and fill in the blanks. What does CLIL stand for? Just write it in, fill in the blanks. What does CLIL stand for? Please fill in the blanks on your handout. Okay. Fill in the blanks on your handout. Don't be shy. Now this is like a TED talk, so I can walk around and check you see. Okay. Alright, so just fill in the blanks. What does CLIL stand for? I can hear some people talking. I can even hear some people writing. I can hear some people panicking. Am I in the right room? Okay, so just what is CLIL? See if you can have a guess. I'm sure it's written in your handout somewhere. Start with an easy question. Okay, so let's take a look at what CLIL is. Now, I will ask you to write today. Any presenter will tell you, we know from research that within about 1 week, you will forget 80% of what I tell you today. So it's important to write as we go through. So what does CLIL stand for? Shout out for me. What's the first part? Content. Okay, I'm starting to feel nervous. I have good students. Content and language. Now this is interesting. This side seems to know all the answers. This side is completely silent. But it's all right. Content and language integrated. Excellent. Very good. Excellent. Content and language integrated learning. So many of you have heard this term before, I'm sure. Okay? But I think it's more important not just to know what it stands for, but also can you define it? So what is CLIL? I'm going to ask you to work with your partner and see if you can write a definition in the box. There is a box on your handout. See if you can write a definition. What is CLIL. Now, because you're English teachers, I'll ask you to write in English. Oh, now it's suddenly very difficult. Everyone's very challenged. So can you define CLIL? Just 2 minutes to work together, and off you go. And I'll put on some background music, some suitable background music for you. Here we go.
Saturday morning, jumped out of bed.
Okay, so please discuss. Can you define CLIL? Fill in the box. Okay, stop writing, pens down. Stop writing, pens down, please. Now it feels like an exam. Okay, so what is CLIL? Many people know what CLIL stands for, okay, but it's much harder to define something. And of course, being able to write a definition shows true understanding. So there are many blank pages. Many people maybe not so confident about defining CLIL. So part of a presentation or a workshop is getting new knowledge. Not just new activities, but new ideas that challenge us and help us think and provide background information. It's important not just to think of new activities and games, but why do we do those things? Okay, so that we can make an informed decision about what we're doing in our classes. And so I thought it would be important to start off with some information about CLIL. So I've got a definition on the screen here for you. Just read that silently. A lot of photos. Okay. Shall I pose? Okay. So as you can see, CLIL refers to situations, and then you can read, you're English teachers. So when you look at this slide, which words do you think are most important? Shout out, don't be shy. Simultaneous, anything else? Very good, yes. Somebody said dual-focused aims or simultaneous learning. Very good. I think for me, the interesting words here are dual-focused, yes, and simultaneous. So two things happening at the same time. Now, this is a rather long explanation, but I think that the British Council also has a very nice explanation, so I put this up here. You can get more information from them. Take a look at this definition. It's a bit shorter. Okay, so the important point here, which phrase or which words do you think are most important on this screen? Aren't I clever? I've italicized it to make it obvious. Yes, exactly right. Using language to learn and learning to use language. And this is happening simultaneously at the same time. The point about CLIL is the students are learning some content matter at the same time as they are learning English. Students are learning some content matter from different subjects at the same time as they're learning English. So this is simultaneous. And today we're talking about English. But it's important to remember that CLIL as a term is not only about English. Okay, it works for any language. So here are some subjects. What subjects can you see on the screen? Social studies, maths, art, health, science, exactly. So these are some school subjects. So in CLIL, students are learning some simple school subject matter at the same time as they're learning a language. They are studying about these subjects in English or through English. Now, CLIL is not a new idea. CLIL has been around for a very long time. In fact, if you lived in ancient Rome, as a parent, middle class and upper class ancient Romans wanted their children educated in maths and science in Greek. Greek was the language of learning for the ancient Romans, certainly for the middle and upper class ancient Romans. And they believed also strongly in the benefit of learning a subject at the same time or through another language. So this is not a new idea, but it has become very popular recently because of immersion, bilingual education, and more you will hear this phrase EMI, or English as a medium of instruction. I'm not talking about the differences between EMI and CLIL today. It's a controversial subject and everybody has a different opinion. Focusing more on CLIL today. Now these subjects, these are all represented in Everybody Up in some way, and I'll show you how that works. But the most important thing is some subject content through English. Okay. What can you see on the screen? Water. And what is it that you can see? What is this? It is a circle. It's a window, exactly. It's probably a porthole, which is a window on a boat. And what can you see through the window? Sky. A house, very good, yes, a house. Not my house. Water, anything else? Trees. Clouds, exactly. Now this is a very, very simple image, but today's presentation is called A Window on the World Outside. CLIL, teaching another subject through English, gives us a window on the world outside. In our English lessons, it helps us to talk about the world outside. For example, look at all the different things we could talk about with just this simple picture about biology or geography. We could talk about how lakes are made. Where does rain come from? Why are clouds white or grey? Etc., etc. This is one of the reasons that I'm interested in CLIL, is because CLIL gives us an opportunity to bring the outside world into our class, to talk about interesting different topics with students and help them learn English at the same time. I'm sorry, lunch break is not for a long time yet. Okay, so on the screen here, on the left-hand side, what can you see? Ice cream, good. What flavor? I couldn't find mint chocolate, which would have been perfect. And on the left hand, and on the right-hand side? Candy, right. So, what's the difference between this picture and this picture? Right, color. What about texture? Hard and soft. Excellent, excellent. So on the left we have ice cream, which is soft, and on the right we have candy. In this case, this is hard. Now you're probably thinking, Oliver has gone completely crazy. Why are we talking about ice cream and candy? Well, because if you want to know about CLIL, it's very important that you understand, we understand, there are different kinds of CLIL. And this is one way that we can remember. Okay? We have something called hard CLIL, and soft CLIL. Okay? Hard CLIL and soft CLIL. And I'd like to explain this morning just to make sure we're all on the same page, because it will answer some of the questions that teachers often have. On the left-hand side, we have soft CLIL. The important thing about soft CLIL is, okay, this is where an English teacher is including some content from another subject in the language classroom. You are mainly focused on teaching English, but you might have a little bit of math, geography, science in your classroom. Very important, that is called soft CLIL. Okay? And on the other side, we have hard CLIL. Now, hard does not mean difficult in this case. English is such a difficult language, isn't it? Hard means pure, like pure math. Okay? So this means pure. And on the right-hand side, this is a teacher For example, a math teacher teaching in English. A math teacher teaching in English. So there's a difference. Soft CLIL is a language teacher with some subject matter, and on the left you have a physics teacher, a math teacher, a biology teacher teaching their lesson in English. Now I believe that most of you are language teachers, so probably in your classes you will be more likely to do soft CLIL. Okay? Let me explain a little bit further about this. Okay? This is because in language lessons we usually focus on what we call BICS, or basic interpersonal communication skills. BICS. So for example, if I say, "How are you?" what's your response? That is the correct answer. Well done, teachers. Yeah. Or if I say, "How's the weather today?" what's your response? Well, I can't see because it's outside. But yeah. Okay, so this is basic interpersonal communication skills. Students are learning how to communicate to each other in an everyday way, how to talk about the weather, how to order something in a restaurant, how to choose from a menu, how to go shopping. Interpersonal communication skills. That tends to be what we focus on in the language classroom. On the other side, we have CALP. Okay? And CALP is cognitive academic language proficiency. So you will sometimes hear this phrase, BICS and CALP. BICS and CALP. Okay? And this is usually academic language. This is the language that students need if they're going to study an academic subject, for example, like geography or history or maths, usually at the university level or secondary level or tertiary level. So we have BICS and CALP. Two different kinds of language. And it's important to remember that this is a scale. Probably most language teachers are teaching soft CLIL down here, but some schools, all of the subjects are taught in English. That's over here. Okay? And there is a strong relationship between these two things. So, why am I talking about BICS and CALP? Well, because we have to admit there are always easy things and difficult things about teaching language. And now that we've reviewed what CLIL is, what soft CLIL is, what hard CLIL is, in your pairs, I'd like you to think, what are some of the benefits and challenges for the student or the teacher of CLIL? Okay? So in your handout, you have this same chart, just working in pairs. Can you think of some benefits to using CLIL, teaching subjects a little bit in English, and some difficult things about that for you as well? I'll give you 2 minutes. Please discuss. Fill in the chart. Your time starts now. Just discuss amongst yourselves. If you're working by yourself, that's okay. Just fill in the chart. What do you think? Great. Okay, so I went around the room, and a lot of people had some ideas which I liked, and some ideas which I didn't like, but still important. Good. So to save time today, because according to my clock we have 32 minutes left, okay, I'm just going to put some things on the screen for you. These may be different from what you said. They may be the same as what you said. Okay, let's have a look. These are some of the benefits that I thought about. I see a lot of you nodding. That's lucky. I'm glad you said that on the screen. So these are some benefits here. We'll talk about challenges in a moment. Let's start with increased motivation. Okay? Why do students study English? Because they have to. Right? So very often young learners don't know why they're studying English. They're just told to go. It doesn't necessarily influence them. They still have a great time. They still learn effectively. But anything we can do to increase motivation, we need to consider for the classroom. And teaching other subjects through English can be motivating. As a young student, I might not be interested in English. I might actually dislike English. But I might like maths. I might like geography. I might like the real world. And so these different subjects can help to motivate students just by having them in your curriculum even lightly. Secondly, self-confidence. Students often lack the confidence to speak in English, but they might have more confidence talking about a subject that they know or they like. Right? I didn't like maths as a young man, but I did like history. So I was more interested in researching it, learning about it, sharing my knowledge. Young students love to share their knowledge when they have it. Right? Sometimes you can't get them to stop. So this is another benefit potentially of CLIL, a meaningful approach. When your students leave you, where do they go? Home, back to school. Okay? What do they study at school? English and probably maths, biology, geography, etc. So the students can see there is a link between what they are learning in the English classroom and what they study at school. And again, for some students, this will provide extra motivation for them. It makes English more real for them as well. Critical thinking. We've all heard, I think, about 21st century skills. I talked about that last year. 21st century skills, critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, etc. When we're thinking about the world around us, we are using our brain to think more deeply about the world. We're activating our knowledge. So critical thinking can be part of using CLIL. It depends on how you do it, but it can be an important part of CLIL, and so is collaboration and communication. We are language teachers, so we want students to communicate and we want them to collaborate with each other. And so we want to use activities that do this. The real world is a wonderful thing to talk about. Yeah? So all of these things are potential benefits of CLIL, and there are more. Okay? But let's also look at challenges. Usually teachers always have a long list of challenges and a short list of benefits. So let's see what was on challenges, okay? Alright. So very commonly I get this from teachers. But Ollie, I'm an English teacher, not a social studies teacher, man. Right? Or, but I don't teach math. In fact, I hate math. Remember what I told you about soft CLIL and hard CLIL? You don't have to do hard CLIL. You're not being asked to teach the difficult parts of a subject in English. Usually in the language classroom, it's soft CLIL, teaching some easy content in English. Okay? So have confidence. You know enough basic math, you know enough basic geography, you know enough basic history to use CLIL in your classroom. That's very important. So look for what support your textbook gives you and have confidence in your ability, because it's likely that you know more than the students in many subject areas. It's complicated. CLIL sounds complicated, right? It's got a long name, long definition. But actually, CLIL doesn't have to be complicated. And again, many books these days have support for CLIL. You might think, how does it fit with my curriculum? Okay? You're a busy person. I'm sure you have to teach to your curriculum. Okay? But a little bit of CLIL content can fit in very easily with what you do. I'll show you how later. Many teachers will say, I don't have materials. I don't have the ability to prepare materials. Again, most textbooks have some support, maybe in the teacher's book or on the page, and I'll show you. But also, simple CLIL activities do not need a lot of material. All you need is maybe some handouts, some diagrams, and some things to bring into your classroom. Okay? I'm coming to that in just a moment. And finally, teachers think about difficult vocabulary. Again, what do I know about geography or physics? Well, if you're teaching math, you know add, subtract, multiply, divide. This is very, very important language in English, and you already know it. Okay? So language and the vocabulary does not have to be difficult, and there are ways that we can introduce vocabulary to students to help them understand easily. So these are some of the potential benefits and challenges, and it's important to understand that, of course, teaching is not all rainbows and unicorns. There are challenges when we try new things. Okay, so when we try new things, we need to expect some challenge. Anticipating challenge is a good thing. So, I put this picture in here because this is a quote by one of the authors of Everybody Up, and it made me kind of open my mind. He says, in a CLIL lesson, we open the windows of our classroom and invite our amazing world inside. The world outside is amazing. It's fascinating. CLIL can help bring it into our classroom and make those connections. His name is Charles Vilina. This is not him. But this is a real astronaut. Her name is Tracy. And this is Tracy looking out of the window on the International Space Station. I'm kind of jealous when I see this. It's awesome in my job to travel to Seoul. It would kind of be more awesome to travel to the International Space Station, right? But we want to have these windows to the outside world and bring it into our classroom. So, let's now look at these 5 techniques of CLIL. And on your handouts, I mentioned earlier that I like people to write. You will see that I have 5 boxes. You can't see at the back, but it's on your handouts. I have 5 boxes labeled 1 through 5 and a space for you to write. So as I give you each technique, I'd like you to write it in a box so you have something to take away with you. Okay, so here we go. We don't want our children to look like this. Okay, and the challenge is, if we suddenly introduce difficult vocabulary, if we suddenly introduce subjects like math and science, some students will switch off. So we need to carefully support the students, and here are some ways that you can do this. Number 1, start from listening and comprehension. Students love to listen. You have CDs. The world is full of listening and visual resources for you to use. So just like a language lesson, most language lessons start from some kind of listening activity or vocabulary. Teacher talk. Talk slowly, talk clearly. Show the student that you're going to use the language. Use audio materials like CDs, for example. Students can listen. They don't have to understand everything. They just have to get the general meaning. And finally, use video. Video is a wonderful resource. Most students today learn visually from YouTube or other resources. My daughter is 11. When she wants to learn something new, she wants to borrow my tablet to watch YouTube. Okay? So let's use video. And I'll give you an example here. This is a video. Every unit of Everybody Up has video. So before I show video, of course, I like to always ask students some warm-up questions. So as you watch this video, I'd like you to think, where are these people and who are they? Okay? Here we go.
Hello, I'm Sarah. Let's go to my school. It's lunchtime. Hello, everybody. Look, who's this? This is my friend Rebecca. What's this? It's bread and chicken. I like bread and chicken. Look, who's this? It's Louise. She's my friend too. What's this? It's juice. I like juice. I like food. What's this?
Okay, I'm starting to get hungry, so I'm going to
Pizza.
stop the video.
I like.
Okay, so where are they? A school. Okay, a school in Korea? Maybe somewhere else. Which countries? Which country? America? England? Anywhere else? Usually there's at least one Australian in the audience who likes to shout out. Maybe not today. Could be Australia, could be England. Good. And who are they? Students. How old do you think they are? Maybe 6, maybe 7. Very good. And what are they doing? Right. Okay, good. So our topic for today is food. Right? So already I'm using a video. I'm starting to review some simple language like lunch, food, countries, etc. But visual is very important. Okay? And this is a unit from Everybody Up. And this is lesson 4. Every 4th lesson is a CLIL lesson in Everybody Up. So if you want to try CLIL, it's there for you, okay? But even if you don't want to try CLIL, this also works as a language lesson. You can see it's got grammar, you can see it's got vocabulary, it's got communication, okay? So this is very soft CLIL, all right? And you can see here, this unit is about food and social studies, and also we have the video for you in every unit so that you can introduce content, soft CLIL content. So let's look at number 2. A lot for you to write today. So let's use students' previous linguistic knowledge. Let's use their previous linguistic and subject knowledge. Even young learners usually have some knowledge about topics. And even if it's only 1 or 2 of them, they can share that knowledge. You can do that through warm-up activities. You can get the students to talk about things, show them pictures, find out what they already know. Your students have knowledge, let's use it. Because also this involves critical thinking and collaboration and communication. A very good way to do this is brainstorming, okay? Have students around pieces of paper drawing what they know or showing what they know. Okay? So to give you an example of that, very popular way to do this is to use a KWL chart. Okay? What we call a KWL chart. K stands for W, L. Okay, very good. So at the beginning of the class, I have 2 or 3 students with a big chart, and I ask them to write down, what do you already know about this subject? What do you already know about food? What do you already know about food? Everybody? It's delicious. Where does food come from? Around the world? Where do apples grow? It's not a trick question. Trees. Usually trees, yeah. So students already know some things about food. I like sandwiches. Fair enough. So students share what they already know. And they write down what they want to know. What do you want to know about food? Where does food really come from? How does food get to 7-Eleven? Do they grow apples in 7-Eleven? Why are apples green and some apples are red? Why does ketchup taste funny? There are many amazing things that students will tell you they want to know, okay? So we get them to do a KWL chart. And then at the end of the lesson, they fill in this topic. So they do these 2 at the beginning of the lesson. We put up the KWL chart. At the end of the lesson, they fill in learned, what they learned in this lesson. So this is a nice way of brainstorming, very popular technique, KWL chart. Now, another thing I like to do is to get students to draw and think. So on your handout, you have 2 boxes. Okay, and your boxes look like this. Food I like, food I don't like. Okay? I'd like you to draw, let's see what happens. I'd like you to draw 1 food you like and draw 1 food you don't like, please. I'll give you 1 minute. Please start drawing now. Draw 1 food you like and 1 food you don't like in those boxes. Don't be shy about your drawing. I'm not going to collect in 300 papers at the end. So draw 1 food you like and 1 food you don't like. Okay, good. Did you draw food you like? What foods do you like? Okay, from where I'm standing it sounds like... Okay, what about foods you don't like? Some teachers write in the box, I like all kinds of foods. I cannot draw foods I don't like. Okay. So I'll ask students to draw foods, and then I'll ask them to ask and answer with each other, using their brainstorming powers. So visuals are very important, okay? So now I'm going to do a poll with you, just quickly. So let me just go to my poll. So you need your mobile phone. This is where you need your mobile phone. Okay. And if you go to this website here, pollev.com/oleb, okay, your topic is food. What content or subject matter could you teach about food? When you think about foods, what kinds of things could you teach about? So I'd like you to go to that website and type in what kind of things you could teach about food, and then click submit. Okay. Okay. See if it will work. Seems to be working. Okay, let me try again. So if you went to that website and you clicked submit, okay, never mind. Let me just try something here. Okay, so please, let's try that one more time. Here we go. Aha! Where does a pineapple come from? Healthy food, origins of food. Now we're starting to see some responses. Great. So as you're typing, this is coming up on the screen. Okay, very good. Excellent. So some topics you could teach include grocery shopping, recipes, language for recipes. There's a lot of rich language with recipes, very good. Healthy food, teaching about food and health. Excellent, that's a great topic for food. Okay? How much is it? Okay, great. Well, it depends where you eat, right? So, also, I like this, food from all over the world, countries, traditional food. So cross-culture, you could teach about culture. So you can see, just with one simple idea, food, you are having hundreds of ideas about what you could teach around this topic, okay? Very, very simple, and this is why topics are a very good way to springboard into different subjects. So I'm going to change back now to the presentation, okay? So, for example, okay, what do you see on the screen here? Many people will know this. That's right, it's called a food pyramid. Yeah, food pyramid, okay? And if we go through the food pyramid, we've got different kinds of foods at the bottom. What foods do you see at the bottom of the food pyramid? Right, yeah. Very good, some people shouting out foods. Well, we might call these, you've got bread, cereal, rice. There's a name for these. Some people saying carbohydrates, right? Okay, carbohydrates. Okay, good. And what about this next one? Great. Shout out the foods for me. Yeah, apple, grapes, oranges. Excellent. Fruits, right? Fruits. So we're starting to share the names of the foods with the students. This one is vegetables, my least favorite group. Okay, you can see some corn, etc. And going up, what else can you see? Over here. Right, so you're very good students, so you know the names of these foods, right? Chicken, fish, etc. But let me show you a new word. Can you find a new word? Poultry, right. Very important word, poultry, which means bird. So chicken is a kind of poultry. Duck is a kind of poultry. Okay, turkey is a kind of poultry. So this is a new word, but using this picture, I'm starting to introduce new vocabulary for my students in a visual way. Okay? On the left-hand side, raise your hand if you like ice cream. Okay, quick survey, I'm finished. Very good. Okay, good. Yogurt, cheese, etc. And right at the top, what do we have? Fats, oils, sweets. Now, when you look at this, which one should you eat most, and which one should you eat less or least? What do you think? Is the top of the pyramid healthy or unhealthy? Okay. What about the bottom of the pyramid? It's about how much you eat. Right? It's about how much you eat. But you can see I'm starting to explore the topic of food and different vocabulary like healthy and unhealthy visually. Now, before anyone says it, okay, I've used this chart today because I'm slightly older. We don't use this chart in the US anymore. This is now something we don't use. Now in the US, they don't use a food pyramid. They use my plate. Okay, they use my plate. So this is a similar idea, but it's updated now and it's called my plate. Okay? But what I want you to do is, on your handout, you have the triangle, you have a blank triangle. I'd like you to draw your favorite food on the food pyramid. Where do you think your favorite food goes on the food pyramid? Just quickly draw it for me. Draw your favorite food on the food pyramid. Okay, draw your favorite food on the food pyramid. Is this easy or difficult? It's challenging. If you like meat or steak, that is easy. If you like hamburger, where does hamburger go? Hamburger has bread and meat and cheese and vegetables. No ice cream, as far as I know, in hamburger. But this is where students are starting to think critically. Where does it go? What's in it? Which part of the chart does it go on to? And then I would have students ask and answer, so we make it a communicative activity. So this is a simple way, again, of using visuals and drawing to introduce new vocabulary. Okay, very simple. And you can see the subject here is food and health. This is the American version, my plate. I'm from England. So of course English people make everything very complicated. So this is the English version. And because it's the English version, it has porridge specifically on it there, porridge. Okay, so this is the English version. So you could introduce different foods from around the world using this way as well. We call it the Eat Well Guide. Okay, let's go on. Time is pressing. Number 3, time to think. Time for private talk. Okay. When we are introducing new content, some students will find this difficult, and students need to think of their own ideas. I did mention this last year, but I'm mentioning it again. A very simple 3-step approach is called TPS. Okay, the TPS approach: think, pair, share. Okay? Think, pair, share, or TPS. First of all, we have the students think individually by themselves. So they have time to think about their own ideas. Maybe older students can write just individually. Then we put them in pairs to discuss and share their ideas. And then finally, one pair shares with another pair. So now they're in a bigger group. And this is very useful because they're practicing language many times, and it builds their confidence. If we just ask students to produce language, many are too shy. Only the most confident students can do that. So a TPS approach helps build students' confidence. think individually, pair work to share ideas, and then group work to keep speaking. Number 4, visual support is essential. Visual support is essential. We always want to use visuals when we teach as much as possible because it helps in mixed ability classes. Students can immediately see what you want, and it makes classrooms much more efficient. So an example could be flashcards. You can't see this at the back, okay? But of course, like everybody else has flashcards for all of the major vocabulary. That's an easy way to introduce vocabulary. Realia, real things, real things. So if I'm talking about health, okay, if I'm talking about health, it makes me much more interesting for the students if I have real items. Simple everyday items. Obviously this is an apple. They know the vocabulary for apple, but suddenly it's real world. It has feeling, it has color. Wonderful. And also posters, okay? So posters are a great way of introducing language. I'll show you an example. It's difficult for you to see, so I'll put it up here. Okay? This is a simple poster I just downloaded from the internet. What's the idea here? What's the idea? Yes. Just with this simple image, I can communicate an idea, which is maybe vegetables are healthier than French fries and hamburger. I'm not saying this is necessarily true, I'm just showing you the idea. And for example, with Everybody Up has posters for all of the major topic areas, which you can use to introduce a topic area, practice language, ask questions about, do pair work. So this is an example of support for CLIL. Let me give you another example of how we can make CLIL interesting, very simple. What can you see on the screen? Sugar. How many sugar cubes can you see? 29. I know because I copied and pasted them all individually. 29 sugar cubes. 29 sugar cubes. So these are cubes of sugar, okay? Now, ladies and gentlemen, in your pair working together, not pair, in your pair, there are 29 sugar cubes, a total of 29 sugar cubes. I'd like you to guess, in your pair, write it down, total of 29 sugar cubes. How much sugar in one apple? How many sugar cubes in one apple? I know there are no real sugar, never mind, sugar cubes in an apple. How many in there? Now this is an example of realia. How many sugar cubes in a yogurt pot? Okay, and finally, how many sugar cubes in my favorite drink, a can of Coca-Cola? Total 29, 1 minute. Please have a guess together in your pairs. What do you think? Okay, so what did you think? How many sugar cubes in the apple, roughly? Shout louder. Louder. I still can't understand what you're saying. There are approximately 6. Some of you are really happy with yourselves, right? 6? Okay, what about the yogurt? Okay, it depends whether it's low fat or flavored. I know. Roughly 7. And maths geniuses, what does that mean about the Coke? Not 29. 29 sugars. About 16. About 16, okay? Now, very important, ladies and gentlemen, is the sugar in the apple the same kind of sugar as in the Coca-Cola? No. So now, we're talking about health, science, what else? Maths, and science, and health. Many different things together. And all I needed was a can of Coke, an apple, and I brought this with me from Japan yesterday. Okay, I had to eat it on the plane because I was worried about immigration, but I had the yogurt with me. So, very simple way to practice and be visual and use science and math and English together. The final point for today, ladies and gentlemen, number 5. Okay. Like a language lesson, just like teaching English like you do now. Some basic guidelines apply. Use games. Use role play. We can turn that activity with the sugar and the apple and the Coke into a competition. Which team can get closest? Games and role play. Scaffolding. So scaffolding means to support language using simple language. So use pictures. Use simple vocabulary. Use simple language as a teacher to scaffold or support the language learning. And finally, use songs and chants. Okay? So we use songs and chants in the primary classroom, and we can continue to do so. CLIL and subjects can still use songs and chants. So we have songs and chants in Everybody Up, you can see here. This is the food unit. We have a chant about likes and dislikes. Okay, chicken. Yeah. But you can also innovate as well. So what I like to do in my classes is I like to get students to think of foods and make a 2-3-1 chant. A 2-3-1 chant, very simple. 2-3-1 means 2 syllable, 3 syllable, 1 syllable chant. And you can make your own very easily. Okay? So here are some foods that I thought of before. Pizza, tofu, carrot. Okay? And spaghetti, 3 syllables. Bananas, 3 syllables. And 1 syllable as well. Okay? And then I get the students to choose one from each column. And I make a simple chant. Okay? Would you like me to do this chant for you? Okay, very good. Very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, when we teach songs and chants, can you show me a gesture for pizza? Show me a gesture for pizza. I'd like a triangle pizza. Very good. Say it with me. Pizza.
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 What about spaghetti? Okay, spaghetti. Okay. Presentation has to finish now. Okay, I can see him. Okay, spaghetti. Okay, what about soup? Soup. Okay, I'll do the chant once and then you'll do it with me. Just listen carefully. Here it goes. I'll demonstrate, okay? Pizza, spaghetti, soup. Pizza, spaghetti, soup. Pizza, spaghetti, pizza, spaghetti, pizza, spaghetti, soup. All right? All right. Now it's your turn. All right, let's see how we go. Are you ready? All right, are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pizza, spaghetti, soup. Pizza, spaghetti, soup. Pizza, spaghetti, pizza, spaghetti, pizza, spaghetti, soup. Well done, everybody. Give yourself a round of applause. Excellent. Good. Now, I want to finish today by sharing with you some resources. I'm sure all of the presenters today have put together handouts for you with resources. On my handout, you will find resources where you can find out more information. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Just very quickly, we do have a free service for teachers called the Oxford Teachers Club. We have more than 400,000 teachers who are members around the world. It's completely free. You will never be asked to pay to be a member of the Oxford Teachers Club. And we also offer webinars, so free online training for teachers through that website. So please consider joining the Teachers Club. Thousands of teaching ideas in there. Okay, oup.com/ELT. We're also on social media. We're on Facebook, YouTube, we're on Twitter. We have a global blog as well. Just Google OUP social media. Okay. And if you're interested in learning more about online about young learners, we have a 30-hour online training course called Teaching English to Young Learners. This was created with the University of Oxford. This is not free, okay? It's a 30-hour course. If you're successful, then you receive a certificate from the University of Oxford Department of Continuing Education. So if you're interested in a longer online course, please have a look at that. So to summarize, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for being just a minute or two over. CLIL, or Content and Language Integrated Learning, can be very motivating for students. It can develop the academic abilities of your students and 21st century skills, which is a hot topic right now. But it uses your existing teaching skills. You don't have to be an expert in math, an expert in science, an expert in geography. I'm sure that the language that you have is more than enough. And finally, more and more courses are supporting CLIL. Everybody Up Second Edition, for example, has a CLIL unit, soft CLIL, which you can try if you like, and you can find out more information outside. So outside you'll find a full range of materials to take a look at. I've mentioned today some of the posters and flashcards. So I'll leave you with a final thought, which is this. Better keep yourself clean and bright. You are the window through which you must see the world, by George Bernard Shaw. And I encourage you to bring the real world into your classes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Enjoy the lesson.